This week on ANN, the Adventist Church in North America examines its structure and methods for mission.
Adventist humanitarians respond to a major flood in southeastern Europe.
And an Adventist health program in New Zealand marks a milestone for meals distributed to kids.
These stories and more coming up.
This is ANN, a service of the Seventh-day Adventist World Church. Thanks so much for joining us this week.
First in the news, leaders from the church's North American region are examining their administrative structure and operations on how to most effectively conduct mission in their territory. Nearly 300 church officials met for a two-day conference in the U.S. state of Virginia last week. Delegates met in small groups and brought ideas to leaders. The top three ideas included creating a stronger brand, streamlining operations, and exploring alternative methods for funding mission. Leaders called the organizational self-evaluation unprecedented for bringing together officers from all church unions and conferences, as well as representatives from Adventist hospitals, colleges, and universities. A committee will now explore options for changes and deliver a report to leaders at year-end meetings in November.
The Adventist Development and Relief Agency is preparing to meet the needs of residents affected by severe flooding in the southern European countries of Serbia and Bosnia-Herzegovina. Local officials say the flooding is the worst the region has experienced in 120 years. Red Cross officials say more than 350,000 people are without electricity or water in the two countries. ADRA volunteers are working to provide residents with clean water, food, and hygienic kits. We will keep you updated with more developments of this story.
New Zealand's Prime Minister and other government officials joined the Adventist Sanitarium to celebrate a milestone of 1.5 million breakfasts served to school kids in the South Pacific nation. Record in Focus sent this report.
The New Zealand government increased its support of the breakfast program last year, allowing all state primary schools to participate. Kickstart is sponsored by Sanitarium, which is owned and operated by the Adventist Church and dairy company Fonterra. The program helps schools ensure that every child has the chance to start the day with some positive social interaction and a healthy breakfast. Research shows doing this improves students' behaviour throughout the day, as well as their academic performance.
Adventist leaders in the church's Inter-American region last week renewed their commitment to promoting religious freedom in their territory. A two-day religious liberty forum brought dozens of leaders from the region and the Adventist headquarters to reinforce the need for religious freedom advocacy. The meeting challenged religious liberty leaders to enlist trained leaders and members to represent the church as religious freedom advocates in administrative units and local congregations. In recent years, the Adventist Church has made progress in areas within the territory where it was once difficult to establish ministry and outreach. There are still many cases involving conflict with Sabbath observance for students, as well as teachers and other government employees. Plans are underway for a territory-wide Religious Liberty Congress in the country of Colombia next March.
An Adventist hospital in Brazil opened an extension of its intensive care unit as it celebrated its 61st anniversary. The South American division sent this report.
Since 1953, an Adventist hospital has been an important health center in the Brazilian state of Belém. This was a ministry founded with people in mind, and it has brought health and hope to many people. While celebrating 61 years of service, lives were changed due to the hospital's evangelistic initiatives.
This hospital has three major outreach programs. First, in the actual healthcare, in its many forms. Then, there are two ministries in the hospital. A healthy lifestyle program that emphasizes our focus on preventative care given to us by God. And the other major outreach program in the hospital is evangelism, both inside and outside our walls. We also have a chaplaincy program, as well as programs that focus on spreading the gospel through our region.
The 61st anniversary of the hospital was marked with positive recognition. For those following the story closely, their feelings were unanimous.
We all here feel very happy. It's been 61 years that this hospital has been around. I even remember this hospital when I was an 8-year-old boy, so it's great to see this hospital growing and developing. And after some time, you start to learn more about the history of the hospital, what this hospital represents, to our organization, to the Adventist Church, and to God.
During the program, people were called to remember how the hospital has grown the way it has. It is the amount of care it gives to people that led to the hospital's growth.
The hospital's mission is to promote healthy, physical, spiritual and social lives, to bring peace and hope to people's lives. And this focus has always been the same.
And just like every birthday, the Adventist Hospital also received presents, a cafeteria for the employees, and an intensive care unit for the patients.
Today we opened up 28 hospital beds in the intensive care unit, all very new and modern. It's unique because each bed has its own private space, so that the patients feel more at ease. We now have access to the most modern medical equipment to care for patients with severe and life-threatening issues.
We hope that God send His angels to this ICU so that people's lives can be prolonged and they can live happy, healthy lives.
To save people, people full of life and dreams and differences, people who are striving for better living. This has been the main goal of the Adventist Hospital in Belém since its beginning. It was here that Mario Mora overcame the hustle and bustle of everyday life.
So it was here that I found all the information that I need to care of myself, so that I could restore my life and transform my health.
The German military band recently held a benefit concert to raise money for an Adventist health center that treats victims of female genital mutilation, or FGM. 700 people attended the concert, helping to raise nearly $20,000 for the Desert Flower Center. The center is located at the Waldfrieda Seventh-day Adventist Hospital in Berlin-Zehlendorf and provides holistic care for victims of FGM. While the mutilation isn't entirely reversible, surgeons at the center help restore quality of life to their patients. The center has counseled more than 100 women and performed 13 operations since it opened in September.
Students from an Adventist university in Jamaica recently received international recognition during a business competition in the United States. 5 students represented the Caribbean island nation and the Northern Caribbean University during the Brigham Young University's International Business Model Competition in the U.S. state of Utah. The students own and operate an herbal cosmetic company called Herbu Enterprises. The team submitted the company's most popular product, which is an all-natural Jamaica shampoo made from a blend of local herbs and spices. The shampoo earned the team $6,000 for its first place prize in the international category and for placing 8th out of 42 teams.
Adventist youth in England rode their bikes and knocked on doors last month to raise money for Adventist humanitarian efforts. Young members of the Cambridge Seventh-day Adventist Church raised nearly $6,000 for the Adventist Development and Relief Agency in the United Kingdom. Teens biked approximately 4,000 kilometers or 2,500 miles and organized door-to-door collections to raise money to support the work of ADRA around the globe. The fundraising also provided the youth an opportunity to share the Adventist message in their community.
You know, it's great to see when teenagers find ways to become active, and it's especially great when they do it for a great cause.
And when they're, I mean, that's a long distance to ride, and so knowing that you're doing it for charity is a great motivation to do
definitely,
that.
Definitely.
Good for them.
Adventist young adults in the South American country of French Guiana were recently urged to pursue a victorious life through Jesus in an online youth campaign. During the 4th annual Win with Jesus event, Adventist youth were challenged to seek an intimate relationship with Christ through daily prayer and Bible study. The 4-day program featured music, prayer, and drama performances. This was the first Adventist online youth program in the country.
And finally in the news, this week an Adventist aviator had an opportunity to meet British royalty last month. Former Adventist Aviation Services CEO Roger Millist met Prince William, the Duke of Cambridge, during the Duke's royal tour of New Zealand. Millist met the Prince at an aircraft factory where he had an opportunity to explain the organization's work and mission. Millist also presented the Prince with a copy of a book entitled 50 Years Adventist Aviation. Millist was told the book would be placed in the Royal Library.
Coming up, taking another look into the meaning of theology.
King Herod had arrested some that belonged to the church and was planning to persecute them. When Herod had James put to death with a sword and saw how the Jews had approved of this, he seized Peter also.
Peter was guarded by 4 squads of 4 soldiers each. We were very concerned for his safety, and the church prayed earnestly for him.
The night before Herod was going to bring him to trial, Peter was sleeping between two soldiers, bound by chains, and sentries stood guard at the entrance. Suddenly, an angel of the Lord appeared, and light shone into his cell. The angel struck Peter on the side to wake him up, and the chains fell off his wrists. As he was instructed, Peter followed the angel out of the prison, past all of the guards, to the gate of the city.
Many people had been praying together in the house of Mary, the mother of John. As a servant in the house, I heard knocking on the door. With caution, I went to open the door, and to my surprise, there stood Peter. We had just been praying earnestly for him in prison.
Once again, united prayer had worked, and the Word of God continued to spread and flourish.
Welcome back. Willie Hucks highlights the lead article in the June edition of Ministry Magazine. The piece features the Adventist Church's worldwide committee of theologians.
Theology, by definition, is the study of God. Theology is our attempt to understand who God is, what He expects of us, how He relates to us, and what His plans are for us. Although I graduated with an undergraduate degree in theology, that does not make me a theologian in the classical sense of the term, but I understand enough to help people comprehend what God's will is for them. Fortunately, the Seventh-day Adventist Church has a worldwide committee of highly trained theologians, the directors of which comprise the leadership team of the Biblical Research Institute, often referred to as BRI. The editors of Ministry interviewed these directors, and that interview serves as the lead article for the June 2014 issue. During our dialogue, these theologians shared what the goals of BRI are and how they go about accomplishing them. Of greatest interest to me personally is the counsel they shared for congregational pastors and budding young scholars who are called to an academic ministry. As always, we're publishing a number of other articles, and in reflecting upon them, I am reminded that the pastor lives in several worlds. Among them are those of the Bible and community. As the BRI directors speak of the pastor's relationship to Scripture, Lilia Wagner and Ivan Lee Warden, in separate articles, speak of pastors' relationships with their communities, making a difference for both now and eternity. I hope you enjoy these and the other articles in the upcoming issue of Ministry.
The Red Cross chapter on the campus of Union College in the U.S. state of Nebraska was recently presented with the 2014 Disaster Response and Relief Hero Award. The following video shows how the students are committed to making a difference in their community.
One of our core values at Union College is that of service. And service obviously involves volunteerism, and the Red Cross Club beautifully puts those two core values of ours together.
I know the Red Cross is always looking for volunteers, and there is a need in the community for people to step up and help the Red Cross. And then within my program, our students are always looking for opportunities to get out in the field and experience disasters firsthand.
Well, our major is all about service, and partnering with the Red Cross, they're all about service.
Once the Red Cross Club came to Union, I just wanted to jump at the opportunity to, further my experience in helping others.
I really wanted real world experience and not just to read about it in the classroom.
Basically, we have two different teams, or you could be on both teams. The first aid team and then the disaster response.
We've had over 12 responses to fires, helping families, helping the firefighters.
We had a couple apartment fires where the families need to be relocated, and I had never experienced that firsthand before. I had never seen a person displaced like that, so it was a great opportunity to experience that, show sympathy to the clients, help them. It was really humbling. It showed me how much I have. And what I could lose too.
One of the most exciting programs we've done is when we respond at 2 o'clock in the morning, it's minus 20 degrees, and the firemen are coming caked in ice and covered, and just that hot cup of coffee or hot chocolate warms them up and lets them get back out to fight the fire.
In October, we went to a tornado call in Hickman and Bennett area, and I led a team of 2 students down there, and we did disaster assessment on affected houses.
When we were driving around the neighborhood of Hickman, some houses were completely fine. They looked untouched almost, and then right next door, the houses ceased to exist.
We went to Macy, Nebraska, so it's a little town. It was on an Indian reservation, so we set up a shelter at the local high school, and we served food and we did damage assessments. It was just interesting to see that the people were just so strong. They weren't just in the corner, crying and saying, what am I going to do next? They were trying to see what was salvageable from their house, and they were ready to take the next step.
Recovery takes so long, but the fact that they were out there with their neighbors, piecing their life back together, and that I was able to help them even a little bit to regain a hold on life.
What is a hero? A hero is somebody who sees a need and fills that need, particularly when it's a need for other human beings.
We're going to help the heroes. We're helping the first responders and getting out in the community and supporting them. So I view them as the true heroes, and we're just their support team.
A hero is someone who rises up in the time of need, someone who puts others first before themselves.
You're going to remember the times that you were there to help somebody, or be there as their house burnt down, or their house was destroyed by a tornado. Those are the moments that count.
You can say that we are heroes in that time when we go and help these people in need.
When you sacrifice something, whether it's big or small, that's what makes someone a hero.
Still ahead, we're going to show you how the Adventist Church is using the internet for mission.
But up next, ministering to the needs of women who live in poverty.
I pray for me to listen, learn more about Jesus, and read more about the Bible. My grandma's cat is old and I don't want it to die. I pray for that. I pray for my family. Please pray at 7 in the morning, 7 in the evening, 7 days a week.
It's the all-new, updated In Prayer app, reminding you to pray at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. 7 days a week. Prayer requests and stories, the daily devotional, all the latest videos, and social media integration through Facebook and Twitter, plus many more features. Now available free for iPhone, iPad, and Android.
Welcome back. Women and children make up the majority of people living in extreme poverty around the world. Raquel Arraez shares how the Women's Ministry Department is seeking to minister to their needs through service.
Women make up half the world's population, and yet represents a staggering 70% of the world's poor. Despite the progress and efforts of many countries to reduce poverty, 1.2 billion people are still living in extreme poverty according to the World Bank. And again, 7% of this number represents women and children. According to United Nations, poverty in the 21st century has a feminine face, and this is sad. We live in a world in which women living in poverty face gross inequalities and injustice from birth to death. From poor education to poor nutrition to vulnerable and low resources deprive women to reach their potential. Poverty is one of the critical issues that impact women globally, and one of the issues that women's ministries have been working on since this department was established. In keeping with Christ's method of reaching out to people by first ministering to their needs, winning their confidence, and then buying them to follow him under the Women's Ministries Department, many developmental programs are making a difference. Self-employment training for the poor women to make soap and detergent, tailoring training for poor women through many sewing machine projects, gold hearing project and income generation projects as charcoal making project in the East Central African divisions. All these programs under the Women's Ministry leadership in many parts of the world have been a source of great relief for the women and their families who fight for survival. If you want to know more about the Women's Ministries projects around the globe, go to AdventistWomen'sMinistries.org.
Every year, Adventist communication professionals strategize to find creative ways to spread the gospel. For this week's Tech Report, Andrew King shares where you can access information from this year's Global Adventist Internet Network Conference.
Are you interested in how the Seventh-day Adventist Church is using the internet to further our mission? Each year, a group of the church's top communication professionals meets to discuss this very strategy. The group is called GAIN, or Global Adventist Internet Network. This year we met in Baltimore, Maryland, in the United States. If you were not able to be there, we're starting to make videos of the presentations available on the internet for you to view anytime you wish. We had presenters sharing strategies and topics from many different parts of the world. Now, the easiest way for you to view these videos as they're available is to like our Facebook page. That's at facebook.com/GAINCON, GAINCON. If you don't have a Facebook account, you can also just visit our website, gain.adventist.org.
Hey, well, I'm really excited that the presentations are now online. I didn't have a chance to go. Did you go?
I did. I had a great time networking up in Baltimore this year. Yes.
That's awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to watching them. Thank you.
Yes.
And now it's time for our Keep It Real segment. Arnold LeClaire is going to offer an exclusive look into a new TV and web series called Open Secret. The series, which is known as Arnian in some parts of the world, is based on the biblical book of Revelation. He also will introduce the production director, who hopes the series will help viewers understand why the sometimes daunting book is still relevant.
Producers from Steamy D. Hoffman, where programming for the German Hope Channel is produced, recently released a new TV and web series about the Book of Revelation. Open Secret is a 10-episode series with compelling stories that show that the Book of Revelation is still relevant and has a positive message for this post-modern time.
Open Secret came apart when we thought about how we could do a new project to tell people about the Bible. You know, the last book of the Bible is called Revelation, and this is a really interesting book for us. It has a lot to do with parables, with animals that are said to be there and so on, and it's hard to understand. And so we came to the point that we said, could we make a project for the people to better understand Revelation, the last book of the Bible? How could we get the people to understand the message that is in there? You know, a lot of people feel in a way that something happens in this world which is quite not viewable to the eye in the first way. So we thought about, yeah, there is something. Revelation tells us that there is a war raging since the beginning of time, and we want to make this to the people viewable. We want to make this seeable so they can see, okay, there is something going on in this world, and we want to tell them that.
Wer bist du eigentlich? Und was hast du vor auf unserer Erde? Und wenn du es weißt, wen interessiert es?
Das letzte Buch der Bibel öffnet den Blick dafür, dass es absolut entscheidend ist, was du hier willst. Es lässt ahnen, worum es im Leben geht, im Leben jedes Menschen.
Mit unserer Existenz hat es mehr auf sich, als es scheint.
Das neue Hope Channel Projekt über das Buch Offenbarung.
You can see a full version of this interview on vimeo.com/channels/keepitreal, or to view individual episodes, go to onion.tv. The series, which is currently available in German, will soon be released in English, Portuguese, Spanish, and Norwegian.
Now let's turn to David Trim for a look at Adventist history. This week, the first ordained Adventist minister in New Zealand.
Welcome to This Week in Adventist History. On May 19, in 1906, the first Seventh-day Adventist church in Iceland was organized in the country's capital city, Reykjavik, thanks to the patient work of Swedish missionary David Östlund, who had been sent to the country in 1897. Also on May 19, but 56 years later, in 1962, the first two Seventh-day Adventists were baptized in the country of Equatorial Guinea after 18 months of work by Pastor Jose Lopez and his wife, who had established a dispensary in the country in September 1860. May 21, 1888, saw the establishment of only the second conference in the South of the United States, the Arkansas Conference, organized with 10 churches and 226 members under J.P. Henderson as president. On May 23, but 46 years later, in 1907, the first general meeting of Adventists from across China concluded in the city of Shanghai. And on May 24, in 1888, Robert Hare was ordained at Oakland, California. Hare was a New Zealander who had been converted while studying in the United States. He was the first New Zealander to be ordained as a Seventh-day Adventist minister, and he was a powerful preacher. Hare later returned to his homeland, where he and American missionary A.G. Daniels built up the church through a series of highly successful evangelistic meetings. That was This Week in Adventist History.
Thanks for watching ANN. Join us next week for more news from the headquarters of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
In the meantime, find us on Facebook. You can connect with other Adventists worldwide and find links to more stories, photos, and videos. Just visit Facebook/Adventist News.
Our good news for this week comes from Philippians chapter 4, verses 6 and 7. The passage says, "Don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. Tell God what you need and thank Him for all He has done. Then you will experience God's peace, which exceeds anything we can understand. His peace will guard your hearts and minds as you live in Jesus Christ."
Amen. That's a beautiful promise.
It is very beautiful.
That's our program for this week. And remember, you can always visit news.adventist.org for daily news and videos. Until next time, God bless.
Take care.